Hey guys, what is up? Redmaster back with another video, and today we are going to just be going over the Warlocks. If you saw my last video tutorial, I mean this is part of the Red tutorial series, but if you missed my last, if you've seen my last video, you know I kind of accidentally skipped over the Warlock faction entirely. It wasn't planned, I just sort of forgot about them, and I guess I kind of just moved from Pirate to Ninja. Maybe because that was the deck I was working with at the time. I actually did have a Pirate Ninja deck I was working on for the ladder. But yeah, nothing, that's just in the past. So right now we're going to go to the Warlock cards. I want to shoot in my text there. And just going to be jumping right into it. So the first card we have on our list is Chaotic Storm. Chaotic Storm, a simple 1G card, and it deals 1 damage to a random enemy 3 times. Now this could be the same enemy 3 times, the same enemy twice, and another enemy 1 time. It's all random. I like this card in your early game. If you're using it, always want to try and get it on your first grab. Just start out with, because you know, get rid of a Peasant combo, Salahar, Spitefish, Spirit Drakes, etc. So this can come in handy when getting rid of cards like that. And if you're starting out, definitely a good card to include in your Warlock decks for an early game advantage. From there we move on to Flame. Flame, of course, the same 1 gold cost as Chaotic Storm, however, just basically deals 2 damage. I wouldn't throw this in a deck. Normally this card gets its benefits from Flux that add random cards to your hand. If you pull it, great, it's just 2 damage extra, so if you need that 2 damage, you pop it on someone and move on. I mean, there's not really much to explain with Flame. It's a simple dealing 2 damage card, so. Next, you have Witch Bolt. Out of the 1 gold cards that are dealing damage, this is probably your most powerful in terms of damage output. Despite Chaotic Storm having 3, Flame dealing 2, this deals 4. However, the downside to this is that your opponent draws a card. If you're personally someone who doesn't like having the card advantage in your favor, I wouldn't throw in this card. If you don't mind your opponent having the extra card, or if you have good board control already and need to just enforce it a bit more with Witch Bolt, then you can give that. You can give your opponent the extra card. Nothing too serious to go on there. But overall, I think another sort of early game card that's a bit risky, because you never know if you can give them the Hallelujah draw, or the Hail Mary draw, or whatever you want to call it. From there, we have Army of the Damned. For 2 gold, it summons 3 zombies. Great in your undead decks. This is usually to get the momentum rolling. You bring out 3 zombies, sort of like Ship of the Damned. Brings out 3 Cursed Pirates. This is sort of the same thing, except dealing with a Warlock faction and 3 zombies. Primarily emphasizes the fact that zombies are a swarm/horde deck, so to use this in those kind of decks are they're very effective. If you're not using it in a swarm deck and you're kind of just using it in a starter deck, okay, that's understandable. You kind of just started the game, so this is a starter card after all. And if you're just using it off the ability of a random pull, Dragon's Horde, Flux, etc., then that's okay, because you're still getting 3 units for the price of 2 gold, so definitely good though in swarm decks. That's where they derive most of their power. Whoop, hello. From there we go on to Awakened Rage. The 1 card that gives Rampage outside of the Viking territory. I think. Just look that up real quick, so I'm not misreading anything. Yeah, the 1 card that's dealing Rampage outside of the Viking faction. This card, however, has a special sort of ability. It only works on an awakened unit, so cards like Mischievous Imp, Mage Apprentice, Headwood, Sentry Golem, those cards will be able to receive the benefit of a 1/1 stat boost and Rampage. Highly effective when you're trying to use big guys like Sentry Golem or Ronin and want to have them attack again. Maybe from a unit to the castle, or just clearing out some units to establish some control. I definitely think it's a good card. And if you're throwing in an Awakened deck and it's Warlock Ninja, try to make some room for this card. It is very useful at times, however it can be that dead draw, which you really don't want to see. From there, we move on to Flame Shield. Flame Shield for 2 gold gives a unit Fire Aura. Fire Aura, as you can read about that side description over there. Damage enemies in the surrounding 3x3 area each turn. Now, this card I don't necessarily enjoy playing against. I have some histories with this card, generally because, you know, running around now in some of the higher tiers, and back then when when it was a real problem with the aura decks. You usually see this card when you're facing an aura deck, usually yellow-red, so Crusader Warlocks. And seeing, you know, a card like Primordial Flame or Furnace Knight get this extra aura attack, it just kind of emphasized the fact that, you know, aura was just not fun to play against. And, I mean, I have a bad history with this card, not to say that other people out there don't. You know, if you're winning with aura, then I have some other opinions for you. Not to hit on anyone out there, but, you know, aura is just sort of me, or for me, it's just like this unfair thing that exists in our world, so, or in the world of cards and castles anyway. But that's just me. I have a bad history with the card. If you use it with aura, fine, extra damage. If you don't, I would really stick to using it in aura deck, seeing just how it may not be used much. I guess you could for extra damage, but normally in aura decks. From there, we move on to Grotesque Offering. For 2 gold, the Grotesque Offering sacrifices a unit and draws 2 cards. Okay, I don't mind the drawing part of this, but, you know, sacrifice a unit is where you're taking the risk with this card. Sort of like a gamble, in my opinion. You sacrifice a unit, it could be weak, so it could be something in your benefit, or it could have a last will effect. Grendel, Frog Prince, things like that, you know, you don't mind the sacrifice and the draw. So if it's worth it and you need the draw, I would say take it. If not, then I wouldn't throw this card in a deck. Not to say that it hasn't been used effectively by me in the past, you know, and others out there. So if you have, you know, some good connections with this card, go ahead, you know, you can use it, but I'll try to stay away from it since there are better options in terms of draw and in terms of other cards. Not to say that it doesn't have its perks, however. 2 draw is very good, especially in a game with most of its draw power hiding in the Crusaders. From there, we go on to... Wait, is it in the... No, whatever. From there, we move on to It's a Trap. You know, nice little... joke inserted there. If anyone knows the joke, then, you know, this card definitely triggered it. For 2 gold, it instantly destroys an obstacle and deals 5 damage to everything nearby. So, kind of just states it flat out right there. If you're not using obstacles, then why are you using this card? Now, to deal 5 damage to everything nearby, that's pretty explosive, and combined with the Flame Pillar later on, that's about 10 damage right there to either base or around. So this card can be very useful when, you know, pops up. You destroy, you know, maybe a Flame Pillar, so that's 10 damage, or a Lava Font, 5 damage. It's still a good amount of damage for such a low cost, but again, if you're not using obstacles, I would not use this card in the deck. Speaking of obstacles, the Lava Font. It is an obstacle, and it does have a Fire Aura. So, again, this is a card that you'll see primarily used in obstacle decks, combined with It's a Trap and knockback cards to make some tricky things to get around, some tricky damage outputs on the base. Usually I see this card play with Earth Knight, so that's, despite it reducing its health to 6, it's still, you know, a 6 health obstacle sitting at your base, putting out a Fire Aura of 3 every turn, and when it gets low, it's a trap, that's 5. I definitely think obstacles have potential. They have, you know, and it's been shown in the past how people effectively use Lava Font in obstacle decks, and just obstacles in general have some good momentum to them if you can get it going and if you could set it off and things like that. But if you're not using obstacle, then it's okay to throw in this card, you know, some damage to or to use as an obstacle to block an enemy from your base if you're starting out. You know, this is a common card after all. So overall, not a bad card, but again, stick to obstacles with it. I'm gonna throw this card in there, despite that it being an event. Actually, no, we're gonna save Unstable Construct for the next event video. Right now, it's looking pretty good. We've got a couple cards going there, so. Next, we have Flanes of Eternity. Flanes of Eternity, for 3 gold, deal 2 damage and add a random trait to your hand. One of the lesser spells, I know this used to be big back when dragons were first beginning, but now it's sort of like an extra thing that's there. I'm so sure people use it if you're using, you know, blue, red dragons, and you would throw this as a way to get something early off your base, and then add a random drake, so you have maybe a red or green drake, and maybe even a stone drake, so it can build up something in your hand while also helping you maintain some board control. So not a bad card, but there are still better outputters or damage outputters out there, like this guy. Incinerate is a basic starter card, and for 3 gold, same price as Flames of Eternity, you are dealing 4 damage instead of 2, but you're not getting Drake, and etc. Incinerate is always sort of useful when you're trying to get something out of the way. You need a good amount of extra damage, and your unit can't supply that. You throw that Incinerate, and something burns. Useful at times, if you want to sacrifice a deck slot to put Incinerate in, you know, just in case you're worried about seeing some big guys pop up and you want to be able to clear them, then I would definitely say throw Incinerate in there. But overall, there might be some better ways to get some damage off, and you know, to my knowledge, I've actually seen it being played in Cards TV, so it's definitely, you know, showing its potential of being a very good Warlock card, despite it being a starter card and, you know, the very simple ability. From there, we have Primordial Flame. Primordial Flame is a very despised card in the game right now, simply because of its potential with Aura. You know, its sole ability is a Fire Aura of 3. And I faced and used Aura in the past. Personally, to me, Aura kind of just seems like this mindless archetype to play. You're just really sending in a unit, buffing it, and making sure it's alive, just for you know, for a certain amount of time before the base goes. And again, I'm not hating on anyone who plays Aura, but just to me personally, I've again a bad history with Aura cards in general. Normally, I mean, personally, I've been able to take out flames pretty fast. They don't do too much damage to me, and I would recommend, if you see it played, you know, if you're facing a Warlock Crusader, I would definitely try to take it out. But just keep it in Aura decks. I've seen it being used elsewhere, and it's not that effective because they can't really support it as much. But just overall, I would say, you know, just a bad history with this card, so I'm a bit biased toward it, and just gonna move on. Next, we have Combustion, a very, probably, if not one of the most valued cards in all of the Warlock Faction, and as you'd see, it's 2 damage explosive, you know, giving that range of everything in 3x3 is affected with 2, so if you have multiple attacks from, you know, because all units are getting this Combustion, it makes for a very effective board clear. Great against swarms, great with swarms, overall just an amazing card. I don't know why it's not an epic, personally. Like, I think Flame should be brought down to a rare, and this should be made up into a epic, but you know, it's just my opinion. But you know, I kind of imagine that most players agree that this is probably one of the biggest damage dealers around. From there, I just have to see who's filling up my messages. Lol, he's gonna be in the video now. sorry. But anyway, the next one is going to be Furnace Knight. Now, Furnace Knight is again, I have a bit biased towards it because I have, it's been played against me, and I play with it, and it's sort of like this card that's just bleh. For 4 gold, you're getting a Fire Aura of 2. Very powerful. Well, not as powerful as Primordial Flame, but definitely just a unit that you don't want to see, generally because now you're getting a sense of what you're going to be facing, and that's Aura, which people don't like to play against. Just to keep it short and sweet on this one, so this it kind of goes back on a lot of what I said for Primordial Flame. This one just has an attack and higher health. I don't like playing against it. It's pretty good, though, in terms of what it can do, and it serves its purpose, which is just to annoy people with Aura. So, yeah, I'm gonna move on from that before it gets worse. From there, we go into Holten Pillar. For 4 gold, this is the card I was talking about that kind of correlates to it's a trap. Essentially, this card has a weak fire aura, but its last will is where it gets, its rarity and its cost from. For 4 gold, you're summoning an 8 health obstacle, and it's going to keep putting out a fire aura, not damaging itself, of course, but damaging everything that's around it. However, once it's destroyed, normally when you can see a lava font, you kind of just eliminate it and there's no side effects. This one, however, when you destroy it, you have to be careful what's around you, because you're now also dealing 5 damage to everything. You and your opponent, anything that they have close or near the pillar. Again, I've seen this this card used in great combination with its trap for 10 damage, either on the board to clear some stuff out, or the base castle for 10 damage. I don't know why I paused there. But anyway, Holten Pillar, use it with It's a Trap, it becomes a highly effective obstacle. Next we go on to Professor Headwood. For 4 gold, this handsome man has an awakened ability of dealing 2 damage in an 11x3 area around the professor. The range can be confusing, but just basically to give you a visual perspective, if you have Headwood, say here, its ability kind of juts it out to, sort of like a portion of the board, like a long portion of the board, just to give you a visual aspect. I can't figure out the numbers very well in my head. I know it's a certain amount of tiles, but I'm pretty sure someone else has got that. Again, useful in Awakened decks. If it's pulled elsewhere, okay. I don't really see it being used outside of Awaken that much, though. See, just generally because with Sarus at 5 gold, Headwood at 4, it's a perfect combination of Headwood, Popsy Awaken, Sarus, another Awaken. So that's for about 4 damage to everything if you can't get out fast enough. If you can't get rid of it fast enough, I should say. Alright. Oh, wrong card. From there, we move on to Pyromancer. This is another basic starter card. Pyromancer, I think, is one of the few cards. Let me just type that in. The only card to now have Teleport. So, for those of you who are unsure of the Teleport ability, the Teleport, as you can see on the side, the unit can be played on tiles between the 2 castles, but it cannot move after its Teleport. And essentially, its ability kind of goes with it. If you have it out for 1 turn, which is basically the Awaken effect, it deals 3 damage to a 5x5 area. So, less than a Rakanoth explosion, plus you're having time to deal with it. That's why it's sort of in the position where it is. If it triggered the ability sooner, it would be of much higher rarity and cost. I just think that maybe... And I've seen this card greatly used. Again, if you have Sarus, you line up the Pyromancer and the Sarus explosion. Oh, Jesus. I don't know what that is going on over there. But, regardless, I think he's just a good card in Awakened decks. Outside of it, you may not find as much use for it, because you only will use that Awaken once. Maybe a Ninja if you bounce him back, you know, back and forth, same with Headwood. But really, I think you're going to get strength mainly from Awaken. Next, we have Sacrifice. For 4 gold, you're sacrificing a unit and dealing 7 damage to a random enemy. Good when you have only a few targets. Bad when you have multiple targets. The fact with this is, to really maximize its ability, you have to limit what's on the board. So, say if I have a few cards out there, let's just call them peasants for the sake of an example, and I want to use Sacrifice on maybe, let's just say, a Pyromancer before it pops up. So there's 2 peasants and a Pyromancer. The way to use Sacrifice effectively in this situation would be to take out the 2 peasants first, and then pop Sacrifice. If I want to use Sacrifice, I want to make sure that I limit my targets so that the Sacrifice doesn't pop on a peasant, so that way the Pyromancer would be successfully out there and dealing some more stuff, or damage, not stuff. Not much else to explain about the card, really. Its 7 damage is great for its 4 cost. If you're starting out, I think this is a great card to use, if you want to watch out for heavy hitters, and by that I mean, later games like Monk, Rakanoff, if you're unfortunate enough to find that in the lower ranks. Just overall, and Pyromancer, again, 7 health, 7 damage, lines up perfectly there. If you're just starting out, I would say keep this handy in a Warlock deck, maybe to prevent something big from coming out and really just throwing off your game. Next, you have Darkfire. Darkfire, similar to Sacrifice, you're sacrificing a unit to activate it, but it does 5 damage to nearby enemies, so nearby is kind of explained a bit there. Affects valid targets in a 3x3 grid. So basically, like an aura ability, it'll deal damage similar to that radius. It's less than Sacrifice, but more than Rakanoth. I usually see this card in decks that kind of want to clear out some things. So, in case something swarms, in case you have a bunch of units piled up together, or enemy units piled up together, you can use Darkfire to clear them out and maybe deal some damage, some extra damage to the castle. And again, I've used Darkfire in the past. I found it effective when I needed it to be. So definitely not a bad card at all. From there we go on to the big boy Headmaster Sarus. This guy is the prime of Awakened decks. He is what sort of gives them their extra boost. He's got an initiative, so that means again it'll activate right away, of giving all your units their Awaken effects again. So cards like Pyromancer, Headwood, Imp, Mage Apprentice, all those cards being played, and then you pop a Headmaster there, things are gonna get crazy. All the Awaken abilities will happen again, which will just cause chaos. 2 damage from Headwood, 3 from Pyromancer, 1 to the castle from Imp, and another card for your opponent from Mage Apprentice. You kind of get what I'm saying here. He's great with bounce, vanishing strike to get him back into the hand to use again, and it creates this mass. It creates a lot of power for Awakened deck. So if you're running an Awakened deck without Sarus, that's a very big mistake. Getting down to the final 4 here. Oh boy. Eternal Darkness. For 6 gold, summon a squad of zombies into a 1x5 line in the middle of the map. Effective, again, sort of like Army of the Damned with your swarm. You're building up your zombies. You're kind of getting them nice and close and happy. Usually Eternal Darkness you'll see come up in turn 6, and then next turn a Merchant's Favor into Rakanoth. So my advice with Eternal Darkness, take out as many zombies as you can so a Rakanoth explosion doesn't pop on you. Legendary status is kind of up there. I imagine so, because you're getting 5 zombies out of this. Again, great in Swarm decks. I'm not sure of its capabilities anywhere else. From there we go to Rite of Awakening. For 6 gold, it activates the unit's Awaken effect again. So this is like your poor man's Sarus, to be honest. The draw is sort of, useful, assuming it's high cost. But again, it goes back to the whole Awakening thing, where if you don't have a unit's Awaken effect constantly going off, or have a plan to have it go off more than once, that's where Rite of Awakening can help you if you don't have that plan. I would say Rite of Awakening is an okay card. I don't use it where I am, and I don't see it used anywhere I'm at, mainly because of its high cost and its sort of, thing where it's like, you got Sarus here, and you're getting a unit with the same ability, why throw in a spell? I'm not going to discourage people who use Rite of Awakening, though. If you use it and, you're trying to get Sarus, but you want to use an Awakened deck, I would say Rite of Awakening is your close second to Sarus. And the draw isn't bad either, so you technically for 1 gold, for the 1 gold, you're getting that draw, so not too bad. Next, we move on to Rakanoth. For 9 gold, this Rakanoth can be played. You must sacrifice an undead or dragon unit, and it summons Rakanoth and deals 4 damage to a 5/5 area. So basically, a more powerful version, a more immediate, sudden version of Pyromancer. Rakanoth comes out, you're definitely expecting a board clear on your opponent's side, depending on what he's using. Again, I love Rakanoth. I've seen him played correctly. I've seen him, played incorrectly, believe it or not. Just a very good dragon, and usually I'm always waiting to see a Rakanoth in any sort of dragon deck. Even if it's a blue-yellow, the lore master can add Rakanoth to the hand, and it just becomes this, oh, when's Rakanoth coming out? Oh, when's Rakanoth coming? It's just the anticipation for, a 4 damage explosion is definitely very scary to play against, and, I have a funny story about Rakanoth, but I won't get too much into it. From there, we move on to our final card of the Warlocks, probably one of the more expensive cards in the game, Dragon's Fire. It's an epic card, and for 10 gold, deal 5 damage to an enemy or castle, and chain the 5 damage to all connected enemies. Definitely a useful card. It's sort of like Fist of the 5 Gods back in the Vikings that I talked about, except now you don't have to focus, you can just, boom, 5 damage to everything. Unfortunately, I've seen this card played by opponents at the right time. I've seen it played on other people over on Cards TV. Definitely a heartbreaker when you're winning the game, not by much, but you're winning the game. Dragon's Fire comes out, and your entire victory gets shot down immediately. Dragon's Fire is definitely something to watch out for if you're playing against Warlocks, mainly because, that damage, that 5 damage could basically break you in sudden death, and a scary card to use. If you have it in Warlocks, you have an open slot, I would say Dragon's Fire is worth the cost throwing there, because you're not even going to use it until the late game anyway, so why reduce its cost? Anyway, guys, that was all of the Warlocks. If you guys did enjoy the video, please be sure to give it a like, share it with friends, and comment down below. If you are new to the channel, I encourage you tremendously to go and hit that subscribe button. I don't know where it is. Ooh. And just, that was it. A couple of announcements, or I think maybe one announcement, maybe 2. I don't know if you're ready for 2. I got one that I'm going to share with you now, but I don't think you're ready for 2 announcements. Maybe the second one will come up later. But the one announcement I do want to make, I have not forgot about the 100 sub live stream celebration. I know I said I was going to do that back when we did hit 100. We have hit 100. We've grown to 122 as of now. I'm thankful for the support. More details about the stream will be in a separate video. Just getting it out there. I have not forgotten about it. It will be prepared, and it will be this month. maybe over the holidays. I know I'm not gonna do it like a Christmas Eve, Christmas Day stream. I'm spending Christmas with my loved ones, of course. But if you guys do want to see a live stream, message or put a comment down below in this video as well. Platform preference, I'm debating YouTube or Twitch. If you are not followed to my Twitch, I do live streams on there. Maybe I'll post it in the comments, a link to the Twitch, so you can follow that up if you guys don't want to miss the live stream. Again, a video with more details coming soon. That was basically it. Number 2 I'll probably make further down the road. So yeah, that was it. I hope you guys enjoyed, and until the next video, stay gaming.